Even today, the point of engagement for people getting into the hobby of model trains is still the train set. Even adults can buy a train set if they're interested in getting into the hobby, and in there is what they need to get their first taste in a limited form of what the fantastic hobby of model trains can later become. Now, for years, this was a staple. You got model train sets in stores, on the high streets, on the main streets, on both sides of the Atlantic. They really went into decline in the early 90s. Stores and chains like Toys R Us stopped carrying them on the actual shelves, and they faded away. A lot of this has to do, I'm convinced, with poor quality train sets. Now, in mainland Europe, the main manufacturers still produced good quality starter sets. It's very good HO quality sets. This did not happen, or it stopped happening, in both North America and in the UK. I can remember seeing sets and from the late 80s, early 90s made by the likes of Lifelike or Bachmann, and the models were appalling. They were just really bad quality. And the same with the Hornby sets, even the most recent ones. You have these shoddy 040 locomotives that can't get over a point without stalling. They just don't look right. And you compare that to the European train sets. Now, this model you're seeing here running is a Marx early 1960s model of a New York Central Hudson class steam locomotive. This was sold by Marx as their HO set in department stores such as Sears all across the United States, and huge numbers of them are sold. They came with the locomotive, a couple of freight cars, and the Marx caboose, which you can see on the end of this train. Now, this train was around 60 years old. It was first released in 1955 and stayed in production till the early 70s. It's made of die-cast metal. It's very toy-like, yes. It has exaggerated features that almost seem steampunk to the connoisseur, but by God, is it beautiful. Even with its shiny, bright driving rods, it doesn't matter. This was the kind of thing that in the past, someone, when their parents bought them a train set, they got a locomotive like this, almost indestructible, and here it is, 60 years later, still running. Very robust, very substantial. When a young hands picked up this model, and even adults, it felt substantial, and it was sold at a price that the ordinary family could afford to buy their son or daughter who wanted a train set. And they were on their way. A locomotive like this would be kept forever. Many years later, the person might get into model trains again, and there's this model in the attic. It still runs. It's almost indestructible. And that's how the train set declined. It went into very poor models. The British equivalent of this would be Triang. Triang made super train sets, and even Hornby up until the late 70s. This Triang locomotive, it came in a set. It would have been probably from the same era, early 60s, and it still runs. There's no problem with it. This original model runs. So this is what happened with the train set. Shoddy, and they were just poor quality, poor running, didn't last, the gears broke, cut corners on every level, and that was the end of them.